Hey, what's up, you guys? How you guys doing? It's your boy Mad Scientist, Hodari Beat Makers, here today to wrap up our three-part series on making club bangers, making beats for club bangers, and also radio songs. Now, I've had people contact me and ask the question, well, you talk a lot about club bangers, but how does that relate to songs? And what I would say to you is the techniques that we talk about in this series can be applied to also radio songs. And by applying these techniques, okay, you'll be able to find the same type of success that you have in radio that you have in the clubs. So they kind of they go interchangeable, primarily because a lot of the songs that you hear on the radio are songs. Not all of them, but a lot of the songs that you hear on the radio are the ones that are being played in the clubs. Okay, so if your song is hot in the club, it's going to be hot on the radio station. And another thing I want to take time to mention is the reason why we are doing this, and I'm doing this in partnership with Power 97.5 LA, radio station in Los Angeles. It's number one, I am a DJ. I am a DJ and a host with Power 97.5. Okay. But also to start to change the mind of many of the artists that listen to this, many of the DJs, the beat makers, the lyricists, and the rappers, the singers who are listening to this series and watching this on YouTube, start to change your mind from getting away from being so focused on Spotify and being more focused on creating a song. And then number two, using radio as a way to get your music out there. You remember, radio is just like a platform, just like Spotify. Radio has listeners, and in some cases, subscribers, just like social media, just like Spotify, just like Amazon, just like Apple Music. Okay. These are all platforms that have members, that have subscribers, that have listeners, right? And what you want to be able to do is uh, have access to these platforms so that the listeners can become aware, they can become aware of your music. Okay. When you go to a nightclub, that is a platform, right? It's inside of a physical building, but it is still a platform. And what you want is the people inside of that building to hear your music. Okay. So we just want to get your mindset so that you can understand what it is that you're trying to do, what it is that you're trying to accomplish, so that you can then achieve your goal. Okay. It's just a reset, a redefining of what you're trying to do. Okay. And most of the time, artists don't spend time thinking about what kind of platform am I going to put my music on, and who am I going to expose my music to? Most of the time when you're in the artistic process, you kind of want to have the freedom to say, I just want to create. And I understand that. Okay. The whole key to having success with your music is understanding that the ones who are successful, um, have an understanding that yes, there are people that will be listening to the music and these people are on platforms. Okay. They are on social media sites, they are on apps that and they've come together, they gathered themselves on that platform, on that app, on that radio station. And your job as a creator is to um, create music that the people on that platform will enjoy. Okay. Now, we can all sit back and say, I'd rather just make music for myself. okay, if you're that person, I just want to make music that I enjoy as long as I enjoy it, then this series is not for you. Okay. This series is for people who say, I like having a group of people that I may call fans. I like having those fans around me, and I want to entertain them. I want to give them music that they will enjoy. And so if you're that person, that this is the type of video for you. This is the type of video series for you. Also, I want to make sure that we understand. Don't forget how powerful radio is. Radio um, is a platform. It is a form. It is a tool that you can use to expose large groups of people to your music. Now, a lot of people may feel that, okay, well, radio is outdated. Well, if you're driving your car, I want you to look and I want you to see what provides you music. Now, unless you have an e-car, it's a radio. Okay. Now, most of us will say, yeah, you're right, but I'm still listening to Spotify. Okay, that's you, but there's a lot of people that still listen to radio. Okay. And there's a lot of people that listen to radio around the world, primarily because that's just their choice. People are still listening to radio. Now, we could have a debate as to who's listening to radio and why, or you can just accept the fact that people are still listening to radio. Okay. Now, take it to the next level. People are listening to radio on an app. Now, I'm going to pause for a minute because I want you to really get this. People are listening to radio on an app. Now, I had someone say to me one time, they just said, well, who listens to radio on an app? I said, well, you do realize that Spotify is an app. You do realize that Apple Music is an app. So I'm pausing because I want you to have your old moment. Like, oh, wait. So then I furthered the discussion because I will say to people, okay, there used to be a time where, and I'm old enough to remember, where people used to look at TV and they would have the rabbit ears, right? And then one day, cable came. Wow. I'm going slow because I want the gears in your brain to turn. One day cable came, because what cable allowed the TV viewer to do is to watch more than just local programming. They could watch channels from everywhere around the globe. What application radios or radio stations on app, what they allow you to do is listen to radio from around the world. Now, you may say, well, who wants to listen to radio around the world? Well, if you're interested in listening to Afrobeat, then you might want to tune into a radio station that's in Nigeria. An app allows you to do that. When you're on terrestrial radio, I'm in California, I won't be able to hear music that's coming from Nigeria in California. But if I go on an app, that app will allow me to listen to radio that's happening in Nigeria. If I want to hear reggaeton, and reggaeton is primarily coming out of Puerto Rico, listening to radio on an app like iHeart or TuneIn will allow me to hear actual reggaeton music from Puerto Rico. So this is the mindset that people are having in this day and age. Okay. And it's important as a creator that you understand that, so that when you're creating music, you now start to understand I'm creating music for the entire planet. I have access to 7 billion people. I think it's 7 billion people on the planet. I now have access to 7 billion people, not just the people in my neighborhood. So I wanted to bring this up because at the end of all of this is, hey, give radio a chance. Okay. And the great thing about radio is that many of them have programs, or they'll have, um, I'm thinking of the word, campaigns for artists to participate in so that you can expose your music to more people. Okay. Many radio stations, especially on the apps. Okay. So if you go to iHeart and you're like, hey, I really want to get my music to the United States, but I want it to be in New York. You find all the radio stations that are on in the iHeart system or in the TuneIn system that are operating out of New York. Like ours is Power 97.5 LA. So our radio station, the radio station that I host on, is in Los Angeles. I'm operating in the Los Angeles area. So therefore, the music that I try to bring to our listeners is music that I feel like LA people are going to enjoy. Okay. So if someone were to come to our station and say, I want to expose my music to the people in Los Angeles, I think they might like it, then you can contact us directly. Okay. Power 975.97.5 LA. You contact us. Go to the website, contact us. We have campaigns and programs for you. Very simple. Now, let's get into the part 3. I think we can get there, right? You guys understand it? All right, cool. Okay, so now we're going to get down to the nerdy part. Now, a lot of people may look at this. I have a chart that I prepared. A lot of people may look at this chart and say, I never realized that when people are writing music, that they would be using a chart like this. Well, let's get into the chart. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm hoping that, I made it large enough so that you can see it. I believe I made it large enough. Okay, so that you can see it. All right. Okay, so I have a list of songs here. Now, what are these songs? This is essentially a mix. And this is why I say it's very important that you know DJs. If you are, and I've said this in the past 2 videos, if you are an artist and you're writing music, if you're a rapper, singer, and you're writing music, you should know a DJ. The DJ pretty much is the backbone of every music genre. Why? Because we spend more time every day playing music for people and getting an immediate response. So if I'm in a club and I'm DJing for 300 to 500 people, I'm getting an immediate response. I'm getting an immediate feedback, and I'm making a note of the songs that I can play, when I can play them, how long I can play them, 1 verse, 2 verses, the entire song. What's their favorite part of the song? These 300 to 500 people, what are their favorite parts? I'm collecting that data and putting it into my head, putting it to memory. Okay. And I also learn which songs go together. So what you see here is a mix, one of my mixes. I call it the Little John mix. Okay, this is my Little John mix, and I generally will play this. I'm going 10 to 2. I'm probably going to play this mix probably around 11:30. Okay, close to 12. Okay, if not 12 o'clock, somewhere between 11:30 and 12:30. Okay, all right. But this is my Little John mix. Okay, and mostly because it's a lot of Little John or songs that are very similar to Little John or Little John wrote. Okay, and I know that this list, I could play these songs back to back, maybe not the entire song, but I could play this song back to back and I will get a positive response here in Los Angeles. Okay? Now, that's me. There's many DJs who may look at this and say, "I wouldn't play it." Okay? Or I would play it in a different order. That's fine, but this is me. Okay? So that's why I said it's good for you to find a DJ that you like, that likes you, and you develop a relationship with that DJ. And then you go to them, you say, "Hey, I want to see, can you show me your playlist?" Okay? And you'll decide, whether it's if you're an R&B and you want to do something a little slower, but I want to still be in the club. Okay, hey, show me your R&B mix. Or if you say, in the case of this one, I want to do a twerk song, then you ask the DJ, "Hey, can you show me your mix?" Like the songs you'll play, at least, get at least I would say about 7 to 10 songs in a row, right? Some DJs may say, "Well, I just kind of think of it on the fly." Okay, if you find a DJ that does that, I would suggest you kind of go away. All right. Primarily because I know a lot of DJs that like to just go off the top of their head, and generally they're not as good as they think they are. Okay. So because there's no consistency. Okay. Well, I don't want to play the same song over and over again. I get it, but consistency is key when you're talking about DJ. You want to find those DJs that are pretty consistent. And if some other DJ feels differently, then they could they could at me. All right. We can argue about that. Okay, so once you get your list of songs, then you want to create your chart. And here's the information you want to know. You want to know the artist, okay? You want to know the BPM. You want to know the DJ key. Now, you may say DJ key. Yes. When you talk to a DJ, they'll tell you like, "Oh yeah, the key is it's 9A." They're not going to say it's E minor. They're going to call it 9A. Okay? It's a harmonic key. Then you want the key of the song, the actual key of the song. Why? Because you, as a songwriter, that's the language you speak in, and you're going to need that. Then you want to know the frequency. Why should I know the frequency, mad scientist? Well, because, and we talked about this in the previous videos, if you pick a key and the frequency is very large, over 200, and that's not a bass. I mean, can it work? Maybe. If it's too low, then you won't hear it. Okay. And then you also want to know the vibe, just so you can understand for yourself and use as a reference for yourself, to make sure that you understand what are you trying to accomplish. You're trying to make a twerk song. Okay. Now, once you have all this information, now we're going to talk about how to use it. Okay. How to use all of this information. What you created at this point is a reference so that you understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. What's your goal? And this gives you a reference. Okay. Now, I'm going to be repeating these things and telling you what you see, because remember, this has to go to radio. So if I have It's Getting Hot by NLA Chopper or Choppa, the BPM being 106 beats per minute, the DJ key being 9A, and then the song key being E minor, I know that the frequency is 82.4 hertz. Okay, it's pretty high, but it's still bass. Okay, you're under 100. Okay, uh, beats per minute. Okay, now why he chose this key, he may have his reasons. I'm not going to speculate why he chose the key of E minor. I will say I have on this list, you'll see, Yeah, by Usher, 105 beats per minute, DJ key of 6A, song key of G minor. Now, why would he pick that? Well, I'm thinking that that's he's I would say Usher's a tenor, and it's a key that he comfortably can sing in. Okay. I don't think Usher's an alto, but Usher's a pretty good singer, so he might be able to go between tenor and alto, right? But he can basically sing the song. Okay. So when you're finding a key, this is live. Okay. This is, as you guys know, it's live. So there's like dogs barking. Okay. So you might be like, wow, he's got dogs barking. Yeah, because it's live. It's not my dogs, but there are dogs barking. All right. So he's picking a key that he can sing in. Um, if we're looking at My Type, which is by Saweetie, 105 beats per minute, very similar to Yeah, same beats per minute. Yeah is 105 beats per minute. Saweetie's My Type is 105 beats per minute. Oh, wait. The DJ key is 6A. The DJ key for Yeah is 6A. The song key is G minor. Also, the song key for Yeah is G minor. What is that? What does that mean? More than likely, Saweetie knew that My Type, which is very similar to Little John's production, was going to be played along Little John. Who wrote the song? Usher, by Usher? Yeah. Little John was the producer. So she said, you know what? Let me keep the song in the key of G minor. Now, she also sings a little bit in it. So it could be the fact that, hey, I can also sing in the key of G. But more than likely, it was, hey, this is a song that can be played along with Usher's Yeah. So let me make it very similar. And you see that they're exactly alike. Okay. Same bass frequency, same song key, same DJ key, same beats per minute. Okay. Let's look at another very popular Little John song, Out of My Mind by Little John. Now it is slower, okay, 100 beats per minute, but the same key, same DJ key of 6A, and the same song key of G minor. Okay. Now, most DJs will tell you that if it's between 1 and 105, they'll probably just make it 105 beats per minute. So they'll speed this Out of My Mind up. That's what I do. I speed it up. And you'll see that NLE, that It's Getting Hot by NLE Chopper is 106 beats per minute. I will slow that down. Okay. That way, the reason why I do that as a DJ is because I don't want to have people speeding up and slowing down their dancing. Okay. It's uncomfortable to be dancing at one pace and then speed up and then slow down. Speed up and slow down. Like it would be like kind of uncomfortable. I use a different word, but I'm just gonna say for the sake of this conversation, it's just uncomfortable. So I will average it to about 105 beats per minute. Okay. And so when I play these songs in order, It's Getting Hot, My Type, Salt Shaker, Yeah, Geek a Leak, Get Low, Out of My Mind, Birthday, B, and Blow the Whistle. When I play these songs in order, they're all going at 105 beats per minute. Okay. And although they are all in different keys, right? They're all in different keys, but there's a lot of them that are very similar. So It's Getting Hot by NLE Choppa is in a key of E minor. Okay, let's see if there's another E minor. Well, we have Salt Shaker by Yin Yang Twins. That's in E flat. So that's just one step behind. So it's still E. We also have Get Low by Little John at 101 beats per minute, but I speed it up to 105 in the key of E flat minor. Okay, very similar to Salt Shaker. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could play It's Getting Hot, Salt Shaker, and Get Low right after each other, right? And they would all sound very similar. Okay, they would all sound very similar, not the same because they're not all the same key, but very similar. Okay, so what does this do for songwriters? How does this work for songwriters? Like, okay, Norman, I get all this information. I can see it on YouTube. I can hear it on the radio. I hear what you're describing. How does that work for me? If I'm a songwriter and I have this list and I know that I want to make a twerk song, then what I'm going to do is listen to these songs and find the similarities. Okay. I'm going to, starting with the drums. Okay. What kind of drums do they have? Well, most of these have 808s. Okay. They're using 808s. Okay. Except for blow the whistle. But everything else has 808s. So I may say, I'm going to start with an 808 type of song. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to look at the type of snares. Most of these have claps. Okay. For those on the radio, I'm clapping my hands. All right. So I'll say, 808. There are 808 claps. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to use 808 claps. And then I'll look at the hi-hats. And I may look at the hi-hat pattern. Well, in the last video, Mad Scientist said, if I want to make people twerk, then I'll use an 808 pattern of 16 of 1/16. Okay. So that's the kind of corny, but it works, right? I'll use a 16th note pattern, okay, as opposed to an 8th note pattern or a half note pattern, okay, or a whole note pattern. I'll use a 16th note pattern, okay. 32 notes, that's just like incredibly crazily fast, okay. No one's twerking that fast, okay. So now when you hear people say, oh, well, I made this beat in like 5 minutes. Okay. The reason why they can do that is because they're already knowing, all right, I want a twerk song. And they know what to do. And they know their BPM. They know their key that they're going to go to. They're going to have their go-to keys. They have their BPM. And then they say, well, I'm going to use 808, an 808 clap, and I'm going to use a 16th note pattern for my hi-hats. I mean, you basically just created a beat. Okay. And then all you'll have to do is figure out your kick pattern. Okay. And we're not going to really go into that because, well, you got to do some kind of work, right? I can't do everything for you, but you'll figure out your kick pattern. And I think if you go through each of these songs, you'll find that they all have very similar kick patterns. It's a variation. I call it the ratchet kick pattern. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do a video on kick patterns, trying to decide that. It gets a little wonky. It gets a little bit like you really got to love music for that. And generally, if you understand kick patterns, then you're probably not watching this video because you already know this. I'm catering to the people who are beginners, but If you guys do want me to do a video on kick patterns, all you gotta do is put it into the commentary and I'll do a video on kick patterns. Okay. But essentially, what you want to be able to do is use this as a reference. Now, some people may ask the question, isn't it kind of like you're just making the same kind of song? You're making the same kind of music that Little John is making? No. The answer to that question is no. And I'm going to be emphatic about that. No. No. Now, if you create a song and name it Yeah, and you start singing the same words and the same melody as Usher, yes, you have created that. Same song as Usher, and that is a problem. Don't do that. Okay. But Little John did not invent the 808. He did not invent the Roland TR-808 machine. What he did was he used it. He was not the first person to use it. Okay. Most of these songs were created. Jeez, a lot of noise in the background. Sorry about that, guys. I thought time of day. It's kind of in the evening over here in California, and I'm thinking like it was going to be quiet, but boy, was I wrong. All right. So, yeah, Little John wasn't the first one to use the 808, and he definitely wasn't the last. So you don't have to worry about the fact that you're using an 808. Okay. Usher wasn't the first person that said yeah. Okay. Not going to be the last one. We still say the word yeah. Okay. So what you want to do is once you understand your reference and the parameters of your reference, now you can say, I can be creative. I always use the example, you want rules to your you want structure, you want rules. It's like basketball with no rules. If it's basketball with no rules, then you would think it would be fun, but it's not fun to watch. Basketball with no rules, right? You have the NBA, you have the rules. Everybody is able to operate within those rules and still be as creative as they want to be. Steph Curry is not the same as can't even think now. Steph Curry's dribbling is not the same as, the other players dribbling, but they all have their way of being creative within the game. And that's what you're able to do, is be creative within the parameters. Another thing to realize is that your engineer is using references. They're going after you. If you have someone mix your song, they're going to get a list of references. Your mastering engineer, you give it to a mastering engineer, they're going to use references, or they're going to ask you, hey, you have some references that I can kind of like listen to so I can understand what you're trying to achieve. So as a songwriter, you also want to start with a reference. That way, if you have this list, which is It's Getting Hot, My Type, Salt Shaker, Yeah, Geek a Leak, Get Low, Out of My Mind, Birthday Beat, and Blow the Whistle, you keep this reference for your song, and that way you can give it to your mix engineer and you can give it to your mastering engineer, and they will all be able to say, okay, they're not going to make your song sound like these songs, but they'll understand, okay, the bass frequency is 65.4 hertz. Okay. It's in the key of C minor. So they'll be able to mix it and master it so that your song will sound good technically. Okay. Because they'll know, okay, it's in C minor. The bass frequency is 65.4. And in the case of Birthday B by Trap Backham, which is A minor, it's a very low frequency. 55 hertz is very low. If you don't produce it, mix it, and master it in a certain way, it'll be very hard to hear that bass. You'll be thinking, man, it's low. but you won't hear it. Even on the large subwoofers, you will not hear it. Okay. At the same time, if you give them a song in this key of G minor, 98, that's touching on that 100 hertz, right? It'll be hard to hear on the subwoofers because if you're at 98, the subs, that's at like, 50, 40, 30, sometimes 20. Well, if you're at 98, you got to make sure the subs are hitting. And so you'll be able to tell them, hey, my song is in the key of G minor. I'm pausing for the truck who has come by. It is 6:30 in the evening here, and they've decided to pick up the trash this late. So I'm waiting for them to pass. All right. Hey, this is live. There's nothing I can do. I can't stop it and just say, okay, let's start all over again. This is live. All right. So if my bass is at 98 hertz, I got to make sure that my subs are in there. So I have to tell my mix engineer and I have to tell my mastering engineer, hey, it's in the key of G minor, 98 hertz. Make sure you get my subs in there, because if this my type song is not subbing, then guess what? The club is not, it's not going to pop in the club. Okay. It might do well. It's probably going to do well in your car, but it's not going to do well in the clubs. Okay. And Trap Beckham, Birthday B, it may sound okay in the subs, but you will not hear it in the earbuds. Okay. So this has to be produced a certain way. So it's always great to make sure you have a reference chart for all of your music. Even if you decide, okay, look, I'm just going to use yeah as my reference. You don't have to have, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 songs here. You don't have to use 9 songs. Okay. You could just use one. So yeah is my reference. Okay. I'm making a song very similar to yeah. Okay. So for every song that you write, let's say you have a 6-song project, you should have 6 references. Okay. You don't have to have 60. You can just have 6 references. Okay. That way, technically, your song sounds well. At the same time, because you're talking to different DJs, you have a better idea that your song will do well. If you came to me and said, hey, Norman, or hey, Mad Scientist, I want to write a club song, and I want a song that, is going to happen during prime time. Okay. And then you give me a song that's super slow or super fast, then I'm going to say, like, if you gave me a song that's at 140 beats per minute, like 140, not 70, not trap, 140 beats per minute, then I may not be able to play it in any of my clubs, because the fastest songs that I play are 130 beats per minute. And that's more of the EDM pop stuff. That's like, I'm trying to think of a song that would be that fast. I'm thinking of, I know Lose Control by Missy Elliott. Okay. God, okay. That song is about 100, I want to say 125, 126, but I play it at 130 beats per minute. Okay. Lose Control, Bongos by Cardi B. Okay. And Meg the Stallion. I play that one. That's one of my mixes. And then so I'll play those two together, right? And I just kind of push them up to 130 beats per minute. Okay. But outside of that, and even like Rich Baby Daddy, which is actually I want to say 143 beats. I'm just going by memory. So If you guys are like, nah, I have it right here. It is not 140 beats per minute. Okay. I slow that song down, okay, to kind of fit my crowd, right? But it's Drake. And you're like, well, it's Drake and Sexy Red. So they could pretty much make anything. It will make it fit. So when you get to be that big, then yes, you can do stuff like that and we'll make it fit for you. But until that day comes, as you're going up, you kind of want to know what we are doing as DJs. Okay. And this will fit into radio because radio, they have a sound. Like our radio station is hip hop and R&B. Okay. We have a sound. Our DJs are going to, most of them are DJs and hosts. We're club DJs. So we're going to stay within beats per minute. But we have some DJs who are not club, but they want to do like, like the love making R&B. Well, they're going to stay within a certain BPM. Okay. So you want to talk to as many DJs as possible to get an understanding, to get a reference as to, what's a good BPM. Okay. What's a good key? What's a good frequency? What's a good song key? Okay. And then match that to the vibe. Okay. That's the most important thing that I want to really, really impress upon everyone who's looking at this or listening to this, is that you want to build a good reference. Okay. So you can have a direction, where you're going, and you basically can try to achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve. And the backbone of the music industry are the DJs. Okay. So to wrap this up, because we don't want to go too long, to wrap this up, again, when you're writing songs for clubs, when you're writing songs for radio, you want to develop a reference list of songs that are already out and successful. Then from the song list that you have, what you want to know is the title of the song, the artist of the song, the beats per minute, okay, the BPM, which you can get that from any DJ, the DJ key, which you can get from any DJ, the song key, which you can get that on the internet. Once you get the DJ key, you just look it up on Google, okay? There's all kind of charts, harmonic key charts that'll tell you. Then you get the frequency, and then, you get an understanding of, based upon where you are. Out here in California, we call it twerk. But, somewhere where you are, you may call it something totally different. As long as you're consistent with what you call it. All these songs that I have listed here, It's Getting Hot, My Type, Salt Shaker, Yeah, Geek a Leak, Get Low, Out of My Mind, Birthday Bee, and Blow the Whistle are all songs that people will twerk on in my head. Okay, there's no official title, but these are all twerks in my head. These are all twerk songs. Okay. Now, once you get your references together, then you start seeing what the similarities are. And I suggest that you start with the beat or the drum pattern. Okay. What kind of instruments are they using? Are they using 808? Are they using some kind of digital bass? Blow the Whistle, I believe, is a digital bass. I'm not sure, because Too Short actually uses a band. So it could be an actual bass, an electronic bass, or it could be a digital bass. But the rest of these, 808s. Okay. And then for the snare, most of them claps. Okay. You get the 808 clap, and then you find the hi-hat pattern. Most of these, if not all of these, I could be wrong, I'll go check. Most of these are 16 note. And then boom, you got your beat. Okay. Now, after you have your beat, then most of the time you just need a sample our melody. Okay. And that's where you get your individualism, because you come up with your own kind of melody, and at the same time you find your own kind of samples, you flip that, which we're not going to go into. I'm not going into that. It's a unless you want it, and put it in the comments like, hey, okay, I got this beat, how do you flip the samples, right? Because everybody does it differently. It's not just a matter of flipping samples. It's not just a matter of finding a sample and just letting it go. Okay. I mean, yes, there are people who do that. That is one way, but there's other, ways to chop up the sample. There's other ways to flip the sample. Then at the same time, you can come up with the melody. Yeah, it's just essentially a melody. Okay. Da 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 da. Yeah. Okay. Get Low is really a vocal sample. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for singing. Can you? All right. Um, but yeah, it's just a matter of developing your melody, okay, and how you get your melody. Yeah has a melody that's played using a synthesizer. Get Low is a melody that is played, with somebody's mouth. Someone's singing the melody, right? It's the melody, but it's two different ways to approach it. Okay. And so there's all kind of ways to be creative once you get down the technical basics. Okay. Once you get your references, there's all kind of ways to be creative. And you don't have to worry about, am I going to sound like Little John, or am I going to sound like Usher? No, because you may come up with the way to make a melody that is totally different than Little John or anybody else. And it's just like, wow, it blows our mind. And if you have the right BPM, the right key, and it's so good, then I'll be able to play it. Right. And we're going to talk about in future different ways. I'm going to create a series where I talk about how to get your music to us, the DJs, so that we can play it. Okay. But before I get into the promotional part of it, I need you guys to give me the kind of music that I can play. Okay. There's no need of sending me, like, I can't think in my mind that I play any song at any part of the night in a club. Okay. Like, I'll give you an example, The Box, right? Great song. It's from the West Coast, right? Love it. But in a club, I'm not playing that song. Now you'll say, well, when can you play it? I'll play it on the radio. Okay. But then again, my particular show is catered towards party music. Okay. That's more of a sing-along song. Like, don't wear your shoes in my, okay. You get the point, right? You see, you knew those lyrics because it's a sing-along song, right? And there are times where singing along together is appropriate. Okay. We do it in the clubs too. Yes, I know. You guys are probably going to be like all kind of comments. No, Norman, nah, mad scientist. Okay, I get it. But I'm trying to give you a general overview, not a very specific. I could do this for hours. Okay. So I'm trying to keep this within 50 minutes. All right. So to wrap this up, because I got like 1 minute to go, you have this chart. For those who are listening on the radio, find me on YouTube. Okay, Mad Scientist with 2 D's, MADD Scientist, and that way you'll have the chart as well. Just Mad Scientist, MADD Scientist, right? And I'll have this on my YouTube channel. That way you can actually see the chart. Okay. And then after that, good luck, because now it's up to your creativity. Now it's up to your mindset, your mentality, your ingenuity, whatever word you want to use. It's really, really up to you. And I hope to hear from you guys. And I hope that you guys continue to create music and have good luck with it. And I'm hoping one day you say, "Hey, I was listening to Mad Scientist and I made a hit record." And I'll be like, "Yeah, I know, because I'm playing it." All right, you guys be safe out there. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. And hope to see you guys soon.